Hey guys, what's up? It's your boy, the Knight of Justice, back again with another power scaling video. In this video, we'll be doing a versus match on two powerful gods within their respective verses: Beerus, the god of destruction from Dragon Ball Super, and Old King Thor, the All-Father of Asgard from Marvel. We'll be going over their powers and abilities and who would win if these two were to fight. So, let's see which one will be the victor in this epic clash. But before we get into that, I'd like to give a huge shout out to Krimbus. A great help to help me make this video. I couldn't have done it without him. He helped me on the Beerus part of the information that was given, and I'd like to thank him for that. He has a YouTube channel. If you want, you can go check it out, subscribe to him, even share his videos, and give him some subs. The guy deserves it. He was a big help. And if you're new to the channel, please hit like, share, and subscribe, and comment down below, and hit the notification button to stay notified when videos come out. So with that out of the way, let's get into it. First, let's go over Old King Thor. Old King Thor is basically the 616 version of Thor from the far future, where it's basically an apocalyptic future in which Earth's mightiest heroes have died to Loki, and the universe is at an end. Old King Thor has some incredible feats and abilities unlike the regular version of Thor. Since he's an older version of the present Thor, he will likely be more powerful and a lot more wiser than his past version. Old King Thor is said to have the Odin Force longer than his father did, making him more powerful, or if not at least relatively more experienced, since he had it longer than Odin. So how powerful is Odin, the previous All-Father of Asgard? One of Odin's more well-known feat is that he extinguished a fire from Surtur, which was going to engulf Otherworld, being freed therefore consuming all realities, and Odin nullified this fire. Loki saw infinite Asgards when he looked in the full totality of Yggdrasil. Yggdrasil exists on every plane of reality. All the time and space is laid out before Heimdall when he looked into Yggdrasil and saw the whole world tree and its infinite branches, and saying that it's complex. It is also stated that the Asgardian world tree is a kind of map. The 9 realms you recognize as being a part of Yggdrasil are just a tip of a maybe infinite iceberg. What you know as worlds are universes fully formed and complex. During Journey into Mystery, we also have an infinite feat where Seth fights with Odin when Seth was amped and Odin was weakened, and their fight was echoing across every single plane of existence and was threatening to destroy the very fabric of the Marvel multiverse. Odin, while fighting Zeus, was casually capable of shaking the infinite infancy as a side effect which stands on top of the governs all realities. Since Odin is able to fight beings who can affect or destroy the multiverse, he would likely scale to these feats. And so would Old King Thor via vice versa. But how powerful are these feats? Every quantum moment in the life of a universe, an infinite number of other universes are being created through said universes. Every new universe again creates an infinite number of universes every quantum moment, and it goes on and on. It's said every thought and dream of every creature alive creates a new endless universe as well. Marvel contains endless and countless multiverses within infinite universes. More confirmation that infinite universes within the multiverse, so it's pretty consistent, and we can scale Old King Thor even higher than this. So Old King Thor, when he unlocked his full potential, was able to defeat Gorr, who became one with the multiverse, or you can argue multi-eternity, which was later confirmed by Jason Aaron, who was asked the question when the words universe, cosmos, or creation used by him as a substitute for multiverse, and if Gorr and King Thor affected only the 616 universes or all the multiverse, which is response being yes, not every time though, but most of the time I use them as an alternative. Gorr eventually unlocked his full potential, and so did Old King Thor. Yes, the fight was happening on a multiversal scale and was affecting both the 616 universe and the multiverse. So since Gorr merged with the multiverse, he will also share Eternity's properties in what he encompassed. And since eternity represents all of existence, that would also include the realms and dimensions listed as follows. Multi-eternity is the multiverse on every level of existence. It is also the existence as stated by entropy. He is called existence, all of existence. Entropy calls him all there is, and basically the concept of existence. When Strange recreated eternity and everything into it was recreated all of existence. Eternity is said to have 6 and 7 dimensions, 8 dimensions, and even in 13th dimensions. And Thor, since he scales the gore, he will also scale to all of this. Now, how fast is Thor? Thor is able to travel the universe distance and answers the prayer from an alien child. He flew from the edge of the universe to Earth in mere seconds. Thor's hammer is able to travel the 9 realms without the aid of the Bifrost. And the thunder echoes across the infinite canyons of the 10 realms. And so Mjolnir is able to travel against realms that have infinite distances without the aid of the Bifrost. Owatu describes the universe as infinity. Ego shows Norrin the infinite universe. So infinite speed is an argument that can be used for Old King Thor. But there's also immeasurable speed arguments for Old King Thor and irrelevant speed arguments for both him and Surfer. Since Thor is able to scale consistently to Surfer's speed. Surfer is impressed by Mjolnir's speed while trying to fail and catch Mjolnir. Surfer travels the multiverse and outran its destruction. So Thor should easily have this level of speed. Mjolnir can also travel back to Earth after the Bifrost sends it to beyond the furthest point known to existence, an endless abyss beyond the eyes of even the most ancient abstracts and primordial gods, a place so remote and far that there is no way to calculate its distance. And Mjolnir arrived just as soon as he left. So you can argue infinite immeasurable speed, if not irrelevant speed, going off of this, since the hammer was able to arrive back to Earth after being sent to the furthest part of in edges of creation, if not beyond it. So what are Thor's abilities and resistance that can help him in this fight against Beerus? He's able to resist status reduction as Loki create and use a potion to reduce Thor's powers, but Thor was unaffected. He also has matter manipulation, since Thor can scatter one's atoms across the 10 realms with the aid of the Bifrost. Or he can do it on his own, since it's kind of implied he can. He also has resistance to biological manipulation or power null / absorption, since those cut by the All Black will be gradually affected by it and destroyed from the inside out. The All Black is able to absorb the energy of God as well. Thor also could generate a storm on the Black Planet created by Gore that was able to power null the abilities of the gods of thunder than the other gods. He also had resistance to soul hacks, since Mephisto was unable to devour his soul, and Thor's soul was so strong that it stunned Doctor Strange. He also had regenerative abilities, where he's able to regrow the flesh on his arm after it being singed off, and soon after his jaw was nearly torn off by Hela, Thor was able to talk. He also has energy absorption. He's able to absorb and redirect a planet-destroying blast back at Thanos 100-fold and absorb Loki's immortality. He also can create portals to where he can teleport the Masters of Evil to a dimension where their powers work backwards, or banish the Juggernaut, or create a portal that can absorb the cosmic energy of the Phoenix Force and send it back to another universe. He also has resistance to conceptual attacks, since the All Black is able to cut beings such as Celestials, Galactus, and abstract beings like Eternity. Celestials, Galactus, and abstract beings like Eternity, Infinity, and the Living Tribunal are stated to be conceptual beings in nature and are able to fight on the superflow, which is where concepts and metaphors make war. The Celestials, or Aspirins, are able to fight head-to-head with lots of life-bearing Galactus. Thor is able to take attacks from these beings as well. Thor can take attacks from the lots of Galactus, who is on the same conceptual level as the other abstracts. You can also argue he has a resistance to existence erasure, since the God Bomb was going to erase gods, or the concept of gods, throughout time and space, throughout the timelines, and Thor was able to survive and absorb the God Bomb even though it was deadly to gods. So gods such as Vishnu, Odin, and Zeus, or any other gods within the pantheon, would be affected by the God Bomb. You can also argue Thor has existence erasure via the Odin Force, since Thor mentions that the Odin Force allows him to erase people from existence, but this was protected by it, and it is proven to be true, since Uluk also mentions that the Odin Force and Odin can erase people from existence with a single blink. And I doubt this ability is needed, but I'll use it anyway for the sake of fans or Thor fans. You could argue Thor has narrative hacks. Now, I know this may sound a little bit ridiculous or unbelievable, but there is a reason, a good reason for why this is possible. Thor is able to fight against Gorr, who merged with Multi-Eternity, remember? And it stated that all of time and space is narrative, so essentially everything would be individual stories following their own plot. So Eternity would embody all these narratives within the Multiverse, in which particularly infinite of all of Marvel's narratives, and this is key since the Eternity Mask is the key of the stories. And since Thor scales 2 or above this, he would resist or be able to affect beings who can attack on a narrative level. And the All Black is able to cut and affect Eternity and was able to hurt Eternity. In Venom 2018, issue 200, now that Eddie Brock is the new King in Black, he goes through the cosmos repairing the damage caused by Null, with one of them being fixing a rift where Null cut a hole through Multi-Eternity. And Thor can survive multiple attacks from the All Black. Eternity would also scale above a member of the Seven Friendlies, an entity known as Epilogue, who is responsible for comic cancellations and retcons. An entity known as Expediency, where writes out the comics of Marvel, and explicitly can be argued or implied to be an avatar of the writers. You can also argue Thor has mind resistance, since his body, mind, physical soul was torn to shreds and yet survived, and will eventually reform because someone prayed to him and provided him the spark needed to reform. He can withstand and recover from an assault on his mind from the hive mind of the other, and it was a threat to all of creation, and he was able to resist and pull himself back through his mind. You can also make another argument for power null, since it was mentioned that there was no one on Earth capable of nullifying the Odin Force. Balder believed that Doctor Strange could not do it, and the Strange himself confirmed that individually when it's mentioned that there is no one on Earth that can turn off the Odin Force, having to use the powers of other pantheons to do it. And though it was still power null, Thor still was able to beat the likes of Hulk and Thing while in a weakened state. Both of these characters can be scaled to universal, if not low multi-levels. And since Thor has the Odin Force, he's able to pull off the abilities inherited by Odin. He's able to use petrification, since Servity with the powers of Odin was able to paralyze Balder. He can also use status reduction, since Odin was able to cut Thor's power in half. He can also cure petrification since he removed petrification on a planet level scale. Now, how skilled is Thor? While Thor is typically seen as a brawler, he is shown to have knowledge in many various forms of martial arts. Thor is stated to be an expert in combat, having been trained in the arts of war for hundreds of years, and understanding the tactics and strategy encompasses the teachings of cultures over several centuries. Thor has shown himself to be very proficient as a swordsman and in use of his enchanted hammer Mjolnir. He is said to train in all manners of combat. One of the finest fighters in existence, General Ross, a military mind, considers Thor's battle skills to be legendary. He is said to be a highly skilled warrior, highly proficient in martial arts, hand-to-hand combatant, swordsmanship, and throwing his hammer. He was also able to fight against the Man-Beast, who knows every form of combat and a million years more advanced than Thor, and Thor was able to defeat him. Now, since Thor doesn't really use his martial arts skills like that, since he's more like a brawler, he still is quite knowledgeable in the forms of martial arts. Now, in terms of stamina, Thor has incredible levels of stamina. Since he's able to fight a war for 2 years without stopping, he can also sustain himself almost indefinitely and can fight indefinitely according to Hela. When using the word indefinitely, it's defined as more of a word used for unlimited or an unspecified period of time. And synonyms used for this could be either boundless, endless, immeasurable, limitless, or infinite. So Thor, or Old King Thor, if I'm being more clear, is an incredibly powerful god. But how strong is his opponent, the god of destruction, Lord Beerus? Beerus is the god of destruction for Universe 7 and one of the most powerful beings within the Dragon Ball franchise. While typically seen as a lazy, sleepy, and hungry, or in a bad mood that does not, make him angry or stuff like that, the fact is that he is extremely powerful in his own right. I will be using feats from both the manga and anime to show just how powerful he is and to make this a lot more interesting. It suppressed Beerus in his battle with Super Saiyan God Goku was going to destroy the entire universe and would going to reach even beyond the macrocosm to affect the Kaioshin realm. Universe 7 is stated numerous times to house multiple universe-sized realms, the mortal realm or the mortal universe being stated to be infinite in size. The size of heaven is said to be the same size as the mortal universe. The demon realm is said to be comparable in size of the mortal universe. The Kaioshin realm is said to be 1/10 the size of the microcosm. The Kaio realm is actually encompasses heaven, so it will be larger than heaven in both hell. And Beerus in his fight with Goku was going to nuke it if their fight had continued. Beerus and Champa would destroy both Universe 6 and 7 if they fought, and if they were not stopped by Vados and Whis. Beerus should also be above the lights of God of Destruction Topo, and he was able to warp the lights of the World of Void, which is said to be an void without time and space, and an infinite nothingness. Omen 1 Goku was able to shake the World of Void just by transforming. Beerus was also skilled above the lights of Infinite Zamasu, who became one with the universe. He also merged the entire point in time and was even seeping into the past. So Beerus would easily scale to high into low multiversal, but he could be scaled a lot higher than this. Koyama, the showrunner of Dragon Ball Z, said that the afterlife is above the lights of 5D and that it would make Beerus the lights of 6D. Koyama also says that the afterlife is beyond the lights of time and space. You also have the statement that the afterlife is said to be a separate space-time than the living world, and time works separately in this place. So if we use these, if you want to, you can argue that 5 to 6D Beerus, but I'm not saying it is concrete or not. I'm just saying the argument can still be made here for Beerus. In the Brody Light novel, it's even stated that Beerus is the strongest god of destruction. Beerus, with one hand, blocks post Goku Black Art Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta and one-shot this same Vegeta. Beerus was able to throw an energy blast at all the gods of destruction, and Caesar was worried that they would all die if this blast had hit them, or it's implied that they would. Beerus also defeated Ramush and another god of destruction. Beerus also the overpower Moscow's Grip, who was another god of destruction. And Beerus was able to one-shot Super Saiyan Blue Evolution Vegeta post-Moro arc. And given how Vegeta trained and fought against Moro, he got a lot stronger since the previous arcs, like the Goku Black arc, Determined Power arc, his progression and training. The Broly movie, this is implied to have happened in the manga. He likely trained there, and he trained after Moro arc, and Beerus was still able to slap him after this. So Beerus is no one to sleep on. He's pretty powerful. Now, how fast is Beerus? Beerus can be easily argued to react and keep it with lights of Goku in their fight, and they were comparable to the explosion in Ki Spear that which they were creating in their clash. As for why they scale to this speed, as seen countless times before through Dragon Ball series, the characters are capable in speed to their key attacks, including the explosions from said attacks. Thus, Battle Gods Goku and Beerus would logically scale to the speed of the explosions from the universe-destroying energy balls. Pikkon and Goku are able to travel through hell, which is said to be infinite in size and distance, since it's comparable to the mortal realm, or comparable to the lights of heaven, since it's like a universe-sized realm. There are numerous statements saying that these realms are like universes in size, which honestly is one of Goku's best speed feats, if I'm being real. But back on the whole energy travel thing, these energy travel at these speeds should put Beerus in the ballpark to like billions, if not trillions, to quadrillion times massively faster than light. But you can argue that this would be an infinite speed feat, since the universe is stated to be infinite numerous times. This should also be the same tier for the likes of Topo, who was able to warp the world of Void, which is said to be infinite in size, as well as Goku Omen 1, who did a similar feat. But if you argue 5 to 6D scaling for Beerus, he would have a higher level of existence or a higher level of immeasurable speed, since he would be beyond the lights of a 4D dimensional space-time, since it would be transcended it. Or you scale him to the lights of infinite Zamasu, who can travel through time with his mere presence. Granola has a technique that is faster than instant transmission. Instant transmission has been taking Goku across the universe, and Goku is able to react to Granola's techniques faster than instant transmission, and Beerus should be able to scale above the likes of them, or scale to them. Gas, a being who became the strongest in the universe after Granola, is able to fight on par with Granola, and Granola uses this technique faster than instant transmission in his fight against him. Goku and Vegeta also talk about this while they're fighting, saying that Gas and Granola are using the same teleportation technique. And yes, Beerus would also scale to them. Now, what are Beerus' hacks and abilities that can help him in the fight against Old King Thor? He has the infamous ability of the Hakai, which is able to erase beings from existence, as well as souls. Beerus also has the power to nullify energy and erase it as well, as he did against God Goku. Beerus is also a skilled martial artist, so he outskills Goku and Vegeta, and he has years of experience under his belt. Plus, he is a god, so being millions of years old and trained by Whis gives him an advantage over them anyway, since he has millions of years of experience under his belt. Beerus can also duplicate himself to overwhelm his opponents. Beerus also redirect energy back at others if it's shot back at him. You can also make the argument for power null, since Jiren was able to fly or levitate or hover in meditation when the Grand Priest disabled this ability. The Grand Priest is stronger than Jiren, yet Jiren was still able to do this, so Beerus should be able to do the same thing. You can also make the case for infinite energy, or he can make himself stronger, since as long as his mind is on destruction, his power is limitless. And the one thing that me and Krimbus came up with, which states to him this was a really good idea, honestly, and you can make the argument for Beerus having affecting and destroying conceptual beings and realms, such as, for example, the afterlife, which is said to be metaphysical in nature. And Zamasu, who was trying to become the literal concept of law and order itself when he merged with the universe. And Beerus would scale above him. So now that we covered each character's stats, let's find out who would win if they were to face off. From the way I see how the battle plays out, Beerus and Thor will roughly start off around the same tier, with Beerus having the skill advantage, but this should not be that large of a gap. But I would still give the favor to Beerus, as he's more skilled. They would try to test each other out, their strength, within going into hacks later. Thor would try to be shooting his lightning, but Beerus would nullify it. Beerus would try to use the Hakais, but Thor would power through it, since he's able to deal with something similar to this on a much larger scale. Beerus would try to clone himself and overwhelm Thor, but Thor has been in a similar situation when he was able to fight against Loki. He was able to dissipate his illusions. And he was able to fight against multiple people before, so this should not be a hard problem for him. You may also say Beerus can use his pressure points to try to stun Thor, but Thor has been able to move his body even when parts of it have been badly damaged, which would also include nerves. He should be able to regenerate them. Or you can argue that since he has the Odin Force, he can cure himself of the stun, since when Odin used it, he was able to cure a whole entire city of being turned to stone. I think I made a pretty good case for both characters having the same amount of stamina. But if you don't take the Beerus thing, that's literal, Thor would have the more superior stamina. But I think that they both have a good case for having the same amount of stamina anyway. Soon, I think the battle will get to the point where they will start outputting more power. But the power difference would eventually lean towards Thor, since he will be on a dimensional difference in power. And Thor will try to use more of his higher tier level of hacks, such as his conceptual manip or his narrative manip. Though you can argue Beerus can resist those conceptual hacks, since they would be on the same tier at him at first, but when Thor starts outputting more power, Beerus' resistance will be bypassed, since he hasn't really shown resistance on a 7D or 18th dimensional scale. And Thor should be able to scale to the higher than this. You can also scale to 6D to high 1B if you want to. But for the sake of this video, I think since Thor scaled to 6D to 13D, since if you argue him having more output of power, Beerus would not be able to resist a level on this tier. And with Thor having the AP speed and being on a higher tier than Beerus, Beerus wouldn't have much of a way to counter this. The fight will roughly go to Thor either scattering Beerus' atoms across the universe. He can also lower Beerus' stats by cutting them in half, since the Odin Force was able to do this. He can also send Beerus to a realm where even if he returns, his powers will just work against them. And lastly, Thor has the God Blast, which can either act as a blast, like a beam blast, or a gigantic explosion. So if Beerus were to avoid it, he wouldn't be able to, outrun the gigantic blast, given this AoE, his area of effect. And also the speed difference is also a factor. You can also argue that it can also drain Beerus' divinity, or upon impact it would just kill him, like it would have done against Galactus. So either the power difference would end Beerus, or the draining or power difference in that way. And even if you were to say Beerus can use his Ultra Instinct, Thor would still be able to he would be faster and have the AP on his side. It would be a huge difference, as it's shown that even when you have Ultra Instinct, you can still be tagged. For example, Jiren, when he fought against Goku, at first Goku was raffle stomping him, and his auto dodging was helping helping Goku. I don't know why I said Beerus, but it was helping Goku dodge Jiren's attacks. But when Jiren powered up into his similar transformation, he was tagging Goku and swapping hands and keeping up with him. So even if you were on the same tier as them, you still can be on you still be able to tag them. Thor can also fight beings with similar precognition, such as the likes of Silver Surfer, who can see past, present, and future simultaneously. And though the Ultra Instinct may give Thor trouble at first, I think when he starts outputting more power, he'll be able to adapt to it. So to sum it all up, Beerus and Thor will be relative, with Beerus having the skill advantage and countering most of Thor's hacks, since they'll be in the same tier. But eventually Thor will start showing more of his power and will eventually exceed Beerus's power output to a much higher degree. I think the fight would be mid to high diff, since the resistance was a factor. I also do think Beerus has a chance to win and I'm not saying the battle will be one-sided actually at first. Say if we took away Thor's like higher scaling and his crazy hacks, then I would argue Beerus does have like a better chance of winning. But if we give them both everything to help them, like everything that's like needed to help them in the fight, or what needed for them to use, I think Thor would like win more often than not, and the fight would more likely play out like this. And I'm not trying to be hating on Beerus or anything. I'm just saying that honestly, this is a very interesting fight, and I did really enjoy making it. I really enjoyed doing this. I gave justice to both characters, and I hope you all enjoyed. Again, thanks Krimbus for helping out with Beerus. I couldn't have done without him, and this video wouldn't be possible without his help. And if you liked the video, please hit like, share, subscribe, and also comment down below. Hit the notification button for more videos to stay tuned when they come out. And I will see you guys next time. Peace.